Welcome to episode 2 of our first walk around Central Station. Just a quick reminder that our first walk is going from Haymarket to Railway Square, across to Chalmers Street and having a bit of a look around Alfred Park. In this episode we are simply going to walk through the tunnel under Central Station and what this tunnel was before it was a tunnel and why it is incredibly significant to the history of the station.
And here it is. That's what I'm looking for. It's a tunnel that goes across the southern end of Central Station. You still don't know why. I'm so keen to show you it. But here we go. Central Station. Yep, no clues there as to what it is. Across the way we've got Railway Square. No clues there as to what it is. And we've got the TAFE and the big tall ugly building UTS. You can see it on the top, University of Technology, Sydney. So let's make our way down the tunnel at the far end of this particular walk. It's pretty wide really, this tunnel, and particularly the entrance to it. And again, that will give you a clue potentially as to why this is a very historic tunnel. The railway tracks going over the top. So let's head down here. No stairs by the look of it, so if you're less able to walk to the sun, you can still come and see what I'm about to show you. Now, Central has just been renovated, or is being renovated and improved and extended and so on, but this is pretty much, I think, original. The scaffolding, of course, is new. They are probably going to do some important updates, but let's just go through this tunnel and see what we can see. By the way, there are two. One is an in and one is an out. So already carrying on the theme there that this tunnel is quite wide, or was at one point in time quite a wide tunnel. Nice paving stones, everything's nice and even, and that's because people from the TAFE and the UTS use this every day to catch their trains. So it's a very common underpass, and certainly before they developed all sorts of other myriads of tunnels in Central Station just recently, this was a very common, even more common underpass.
And this is what it looked like back in the 70s when there actually was access to the railway platforms from the tunnel.
So here we have it. As I said, very wide.
I managed to dig up some old photos. This is one of the entrance before it was boarded up, and here's the shops leading into the tunnel, and there's another place I was interested in. This is a youth hostel which used to be part of the station, and as you can see it's got some very interesting rooms.
Very level, and as we go along we'll see some interesting pictures of some of the history of the station and what it looked like. So I can show you that, and I can show you the pictures on the other side. So keep an eye out for those pictures. I'm not going to stop, but I'm going to just cast my camera backwards and forwards as we go down the tunnel. In fact, I might take up a central position, pardon the geographical pun. Take up a central position so I can scan both sides equally. So lots of history here. Lots of pictures of the buildings in the area. And actually not pictures, they're drawings or paintings that artists have done an excellent job of. So in and of itself, this is probably quite interesting. Okay, just dressing up myself. This is going to be a bit of a long walk for me. Didn't quite realise how long the tunnel is, but it is quite a long tunnel. So basically, I hope you appreciate the effort I'm going to. Although, having said that, I hope you more appreciate the effort that the artists have gone to in providing these wonderful things to look at as we go down the tunnel. That's interesting. Goods trains. The reason it's interesting is that a lot of people don't know this, but the first railway line built in main railway line built in Sydney was Sydney to Central. Everyone knows that. What they don't know is that at the same time they built an offshoot called the goods line, and I'll certainly record that in a future video. But the goods line came off of Central and went out to Darling Harbour, which at the time was wharves. Yeah, there were wharves at Circular Quay, but very quickly they became overused, and so Darling Harbour was a second location for delivery of goods for the colony at Sydney Cove. And so the goods line became important. We are talking, of course, in the 1850s when the train station was first built, and that was almost 70 years after it had been popularised. So you can imagine the wharves already would have been very busy, because that's how everything got to Sydney. If you couldn't grow it or kill it locally, you had to import it, and it went through the Sydney wharves. But also there was occasional exports of some of the Sydney goods. Probably one of the most famous food exports is the Granny Smith apple, which was grown in Eastwood, not far from where I live, and transported internationally because of the length of time that the apple would survive. It would survive the 6-month journey by ship to the home countries of England, Ireland, European countries, etc. So the apple is very famous. The Granny Smith apple is very famous, and because I live nearby, no doubt I will do an episode covering it. October is the month for the Granny Smith Festival, to celebrate her life, so that might be an appropriate time to make that video and show you a bit about the Granny Smith Festival as well as the history, her final resting place, the lands where she grew the famous apple. Eastwood, particularly Ryde anyway, which is not far from Eastwood, was, after Parramatta, the third area that was settled. So after Parramatta but before Liverpool, it was the third area that was settled, and again very suited for growing particularly citrus fruits, oranges, lemons, limes, apples. Apples not a citrus fruit, of course, but it was good for soil for that too. So lots of history to go through eventually. Don't worry, we're nearly at the end. We're getting there. If you've, I don't know if I'll post the whole thing, but if I've posted the whole thing and you've watched it through to the end, congratulations. Although I don't know why you've watched it to the end. You probably should have fast forwarded. I certainly would have if I'd had the opportunity to fast forward my walking at least. Unfortunately, I can't fast forward my walking. Now, although this is very level, each end is a little bit built up. So we saw that I had to walk down a bit of a slope at the end where I entered, and there's even more of a difference in the land level versus ground level here where I'm exiting. Now, in a moment, I'm going to head down this rabbit warren to the actual train stations in the central, so basically walking back the way I came on the opposite side. But I need to show you why I'm so excited about this station, this end of the station. So let me go up the escalators and I'll show you, hopefully, what it is I want you to see. Excuse fingers. So here we are, approaching the exit of the tunnel. Busy corner, 24-hour sports bar in one corner. Down there is Chalmers Street from an earlier video, and the Chalmers Street entrance is down that way as well. And if I go up that road, I should be able to find my way to the Chalmers Street entrance and the hat factory that burnt down not long ago that I talked about. But there's quite a lot of streets here, so let me try and make sense of where I am. For those who want to visit Sydney, you'll be able to find your way around, and then hopefully be able to point out the history. Just let me check some of the station names as well. So I'm going to show you this building here. Firstly, I think, if I remember rightly, that's the Postmaster General's or the railway conductor's home, something like that, some official residence. Don't quite know what it is now, let's find out. I assume it still belongs to the railways because it's still within the property at Central Station. So there it is. Remembering that Central Station was built sometime around the 1910s. This is still Chalmers Street, and there's a sign over here. So, Railway Institute building, that's what I thought it was. That's what I was looking for. One of the things. Railway Institute was the first such institute in Australia, erected in the 1890s. This is hence on the old railway station site, as an educational social facility for the benefit of railway employees. The building maintained its original function for most of the 20th century before being vacated in the 1990s and restored in 2008 as an office and showroom. So this is the first building I wanted to show you of historical significance. This was around before Central Station, and this is the original site of Central Station, so it actually makes sense that this building should be here, because although Central Station is now way down that way, this was the original site. Now, before I explore any further, I just want to check the street signs. So I'm looking for a particular street. There's the Royal Exhibition Hotel up there, and that was established in 1889. Again, the location of the original Central Station was here, in this area, so it makes sense to have a hotel right on that corner. I can't see the street signs. Let me put the phone away and then I'll bring it back once I've found the street signs. The road, and I've solved the mystery as to why there are no street signs. Because this is not a street anymore, technically, it's a tramway. There is no vehicular traffic, so no one really needs to know what the name of the street actually is. Here's the tram, going down what was a street. I guess technically you could still call it a street, but it's certainly not a street that vehicles can use. However, I did find what I'm looking for. So what is the name of this mysterious street? So there we go, Devonshire Street. Now I'm going to take a few photographs and then I'll tell you about it.
While you're enjoying some of these photographs, let me tell you about the next episode. We're going to discover the significance of Devonshire Street. We're going to be having a look at Alfred Park, and then we're going to walk our way down to the train station, where we will get an interesting view of some of the things we've already seen, but from the perspective of both the train and the platform.